What I was waiting for. She's very poetic. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the January 5th meeting of the City of Lake Worth Beach Commission. May I have the roll call, please?
Mayor Betty Rush.
Here.
Vice Mayor Sarah Maliga.
Present.
Commissioner Christopher McVoy.
And you.
Here.
Sorry.
Okay.
Commissioner Mimi May.
Present.
Commissioner Anthony Segridge.
Present.
A little
Thank
feedback
you.
from YouTube. That's all that was.
A little YouTube. You pay attention to what we're doing here. Okay. Miss May is going to lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all for coming. We have unfinished business, ordinance number 25-16, first reading, and it's a quasi judicial hearing. So the rules are a little bit different. And I believe our clerk, you are going to give us a little guidance as to the procedure. I have it pretty well down, I think, but I can always use help. So this is a quasi judicial hearing. Thank you. Can you please read by title?
We go. Ordinance number 2025-16 is an ordinance of the city of Lake Worth Beach, Florida, amending the city's official zoning map to provide a zoning district of single family and two family residential SF TF 14 on the property at 826 Sunset Drive, generally located at the south end of Sunset Drive, and particularly described in Exhibit A and prime severability conflicts and an effective date.
Thank you. I believe we have Mr. Waters, are you leading the presentation tonight? Is anyone?
I will, but I was under the impression William Waters, Community Sustainability Director. Before we start the presentation, which actually starts the quasi judicial hearing, we need to go through disclosures and ex parte communication and all that. So
well, let's do that.
Okay.
So
Sorry, start.
please turn off your phones. Okay. We're in a lighthearted mood tonight. Welcome back. This is a quasi judicial hearing. The city attorney is going to give us a little speech right now.
Okay. As this is a quasi judicial hearing, the hearing must be fair in three respects: form, substance, and appearance. All commission members must disclose, if they have or reason believed to have, A, demonstrated bias or prejudice for or against any party in the hearing; B, a direct or indirect monetary interest in the outcome of the hearing; a prejudgment of the issues prior to hearing the facts on the record; or any ex parte communications or personal investigations, including conversations with city staff. So if the answer to any of these is yes, please also state whether, based on your response, are you still able to serve as an impartial hearing officer and make your decision based on the facts on the record. Having a feeling that most of you probably have the ex parte, maybe I'll make it easy.
We'll go down the road.
Okay, thank you.
I'll start. I've had one meeting with the developer who's asking for this. I have a personal knowledge of the property, having known Ray Smith and visited when he owned the property. I have had, over the years, it's been many years, I've had casual conversations with some folks just in Publix about what they're looking for. And I have been to the property at the request of the condo owners at the bottom of the wall just to walk around and take a look. I have no financial dog in that race. Nothing can make me, I have nothing that would prejudice me. And in staff, I've asked, Mr. Waters, just like what's the difference between the different kinds of zoning, and he's told me what the boards have done. So that's me. District 1.
Thank you. I have had many conversations. I have answered probably 900 emails over the last 5 years,
Yeah, I didn't see
all of which are through the City of Lake Worth Beach's email and saved if anybody needs to do a public records request. I have attended several presentations a couple of years ago that the developer had brought forward. I have also had conversations with engineering firms that were said to be part of the wall investigation. I have spoken with staff, and I have no prejudice and no financial gains in the outcome of this hearing.
Yeah, I forgot to mention, I was at a neighborhood meeting a couple of years ago where we discussed this. And emails, yes, of course, there've been one or two emails. Yeah. She jokes. Mr. McBoy.
Yes, I have had, similar to all of the others, a good number of emails over the years. I'm probably the longest member on the commission at this point, so this goes back a ways. I would not be able to reproduce for you who all emailed me, but the emails that came recently, I dutifully forwarded to the city clerk. I have been to the site at the request, not to the site itself, but similar to the mayor, the bottom of the wall, at the request of some of the condominium owners. I don't know, a year ago, 2 years ago, quite a while ago. I think of any. I've spoken with various neighbors in the general area over the years, have expressed their feelings. Oh, and I did communicate with, I don't know her title, but Director of Environmental Resource Management or something like that with the county to ask whether there would be any possibility of the county or interest of the county in purchasing the property. And it was indicated that, yes, there was interest, no, there was no money. I believe that's it. And as far as being able to be impartial, what else do I have to be? Oh, yeah, yes. No, I have no monetary interest one way or the other. Impartial and something else I think I have to be.
Thank you. What?
Oh,
Sa-
yes, I have, yeah, over the years, been informed various aspects of where things were and what the zoning things, which I could not necessarily reproduce exactly correctly.
Thank you. District 3?
Excuse me. I have no financial interest in this project. I can be impartial, and I have spoken with staff just about the history of the project and what's being brought forward.
Thank you. Mr. Segridge?
I have no financial interest in this. I can be impartial. I have spoken with staff as well as answered and responded to emails from residents as well as read emails from the developer.
Thank you. Okay. It's my understanding, I'm following the script here. It's my understanding that in addition to the applicant, we have 17 affected parties who wish to be heard.
12. Sorry.
I'm reading from the script and it says 17. Well, there's only 12?
We
Okay.
have 17, Madam Mayor. Our list is 17.
Sorry, my script says 12. Sorry.
Yeah, they came to us directly, William. So we have 17.
See, I was right. Right. Well, there's that. All those giving testimony, please raise your right hand and be sworn in.
Do you
Madam
swear?
Clerk?
Yes, I just wanted to let you know, Madam Mayor, that we have 2 people who are appearing by Zoom. I will swear them in when I forward them to speak. So,
Okay.
Okay. For all those who are raising their right hand, do you swear or affirm that in this proceeding you will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If so, say yes.
Thank you.
And as testify, please state your name and the address for the record. And if you represent a party, also state who you represent.
Under the quasi judicial rules, we will hear from the city first, then the applicant, and then the affected parties. We will hold questions until after the presentations. When called, please state your name and the name and address of the property you're speaking on behalf of. And after the applicant speaks, we will hear from the affected parties in the following order. And I have this long order, and I'm sure, Miss May just made an interesting comment, there's a lot to say, but
Said, not everybody needs to say that.
just bear that in mind.
Just saying.
Okay. I want to go home. Okay, so Mr. Waters.
Are you going to read the affected parties into the record?
Sure. Murray Hills Association, Inc., represented by Attorney Scott Lee on Zoom. Residents of Lake Osborne Heights, represented by Scott Harris et al. Thomas and Deborah Cleary, Suzanne Kyochi, Chris Frost and Catherine Renee Hunter Frost, Emily Golish, Nicoletta Luis, Sir John and Ruth Lynch, Kathleen McGivern, Amy Mihalik, thank you, Rebecca Owens, and she's on Zoom, Rebecca Owens, Karen Risch, Daniel Santamarina, Rebecca Steers, Aaron Thumb, William Yates, and John and Heidi Wright and Bruno Schroeder. I don't know. I don't know why you're raising your hand, sir. No, that's not cards. It's different thing. So just stay with the program. Okay. No, cards are different. They're over there. This is affected parties, official affected parties. Okay. So please give the department presentation.
For the record, William Waters, Community Sustainability Director. We have our presentation popped up and it's not liking to move forward. It's like my dog's going down the street. They want to go backwards. Here we go. Show the button. Okay. So as the city attorney read the title of the ordinance, this is a request to rezone a piece of property that was annexed into the city almost 2 decades ago. It was given a future land use of medium density residential back in 2017. Chris Rayleigh, through a private initiated request and collaboration with the private property owners, have asked for a zoning to be established, and the request is for single family, 2-family, 14. So as we've discussed, it is a quasi-judicial hearing that requires certain procedural aspects to be gone through. The mayor has read through that. We have 3 different presentations, the staff, then the applicant, and then there are 10-minute allowances for each of the affected parties. We have a definition of what an affected party is. We have 2 different types of parties listed in our land development regulations. There's our interested parties, are those who within 400 feet of a property, and affected parties are part of the class of interested parties, but they have an extra level of fiduciary or financial impact as their properties may be adjacent, or the proposed development or change of zoning would have effect that would be more toward their side than it would be for the other interested parties. So just in clarification, all interested parties are not affected parties, but all affected parties are interested parties. Oh, it's working now? Great. So the application came in back in July. And as you know, it came before you all, I think in December, and then we postponed it. It was evaluated by the Planning and Zoning Board. They made a recommendation to support the applicant's request for zoning of single family, 2-family, 14. It was found under the city's staff report that the request is one of the options that can be requested under the medium density residential future land use, and that it was appropriate to move forward with the request of the applicant for single family, 2-family, 14. So, but now that we're at a different stage of the process, and I'll show you a little diagram in a minute, we do have to establish some zoning for this property. Under Florida statute, all property should have a zoning classification, and all property should have a future land use designation. There are an array of choices for the city commission. So I'll get to in a minute. There are 4 different choices for the zoning that can be established under the medium density residential. So you can choose to approve what the applicant is requesting, or you could choose to approve something else that's applicable with our comprehensive plan based on substantial competent evidence that will be presented in part of the hearing tonight and likely discussed at length. So this is the parcel in question. It's known as the Sunset property. It's just over 4 acres. Its only access is from the extension of Sunset Drive, which is in the county. It is surrounded on 3 sides by Murray Hills, which is within the city. Other properties to the north, which are large lot, single family residential, are in the county. Not quite sure why they didn't get annexed in when the rest of it came in, but be that as it may. So there's a general parcel history. It was annexed in 2005. We gave it a zoning and a preliminary future land use in 2006. 3 years later, the city reversed its decision upon an election, and we've been kind of in a holding pattern with what's called a Fluger proceeding. And I won't go through what all that means, but it's a future land use discussion over the past 16 years. So now we've moved forward to 2026, and we finally have a request for an official zoning designation for the property. As I mentioned before, the future land use was designated and beginning in 2017 and was confirmed by the state in 2018. Again, a parcel map. A proposal for a single family 2014. It's medium density, 30 units per acre in the brown. And in the area north, as I mentioned before, which is in the county, is large lot single family residential. And most of the properties there are on 10,000 or greater square foot areas for their lots. And so their density is right around 3.33, which is substantially less than our SFR, which allows 7 units per acre. The little chart to the right shows what zoning classifications or options for you under the medium density residential future land use. So you have SFR, which is 7 units an acre, SFTF 14, which is 14 units an acre, MF 20, which allows 20, and then also neighborhood commercial, which also allows 20 units per acre. The request by the applicant for SFTF 14 per our comprehensive plan would be consistent and would allow the redevelopment or development of this property, since as far as I'm aware, I don't believe it's had any development other than the single family house as a farmstead for at least almost at this point, 100 years. Under the rezoning criteria of the land development regulations, it is compatible with the established land use pattern that is found with the medium density residential. It would allow for land uses that are complementary to the area. As I mentioned, there's large lot single family to the north, a bit of that to the east and west, and then the Murray Hills development around 3 sides. So there is a significant grade elevation change between Murray Hills and the property in question. At its meeting back in October, the Planning and Zoning Board recommended to you to approve the single family 2-family 14 zoning. Then you had a meeting back in November and then have postponed the first reading until now due to the large number of people who wanted to comment and the variety of questions that came up on this property in order to resolve a multitude of issues, including the future proceedings, and to allow some sort of development to move forward on the property, and also bring the property into compliance with Florida statute by establishing a zoning category. So with the request of the applicant, it was consistent with the zoning map amendment process. It is one of the choices that can be given to the property under the medium density residential comprehensive plan future land use section. And the proposed change would be consistent with the city's strategic plan. With that, staff is recommending that it could move forward with an SFTF 14. I do consider that there will be other testimony brought forward tonight that might open the door for you to consider one of the other 3 options that is provided under the comprehensive plan with the medium density residential. There were some conditions of approval that should you move forward with one of the zoning that should be attached. They're not that extensive because we do not have an associated site plan or development that is moving forward as part of this rezoning. Staff has seen a conceptual design for a single family development that I believe has 22 5,000 square foot lots, which is the minimum size for a single family residential or a single family 2-family 14 residential lot. There are still remaining questions that will have to be addressed if and when that site plan does come forward, such as provision of infrastructure, how will the utilities bill dealt with, ingress, egress, the relationship with the county, collaboration with our water, sewer, and electric, and how those will be extended, and a variety of other questions that are usually dealt with as part of the site plan review process. as it's anticipated, the site plan would not come to the city commission once you provide a zoning authority. It would have to go to the planning and zoning board. So there would be a public hearing for that at some point in the future. With that, I'm going to close out the city's presentation and we can jump to the next one. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Madam Mayor, can I ask a question? Of staff?
Does the commission members have any well, the parties, we haven't asked. We're supposed to wait till the end of everything, but do you want to ask questions now of staff? I
Yeah.
think that makes more sense.
I just wanted to,
Yeah.
yeah. William, can you just, the last comment that you said it will not be coming to the city commission, is that because it's not a plan development? Can you explain on the record
Yes.
why it would not come to us?
As we understand it, would not be coming forward as a plan development, which does allow relaxation of certain aspects of the zoning code. It was going to be a straight subdivision of 22 parcels on a single lot. What would have come before you 6 months ago or 7 months ago was the platting process by which you plat the property into the individual lots. This past summer, the state changed the regulations on platting, and the platting is reviewed only at the staff level and does not come to the city commission. So the conceptual site plan that we saw, which is not part of tonight, will be considered a major site plan and would go to the planning and zoning board only. And then the platting of those lots and recordation of those lots, including easements and those other aspects that go with the site plan, would stay with staff and then be recorded as part of the subdivision.
Thank you, Mr. McBoy.
Thank you for your presentation. Thank you. Thank you for your presentation. Couple questions. Could you just repeat for us the 4 categories that would be eligible under the medium?
I'd like you to put that slide back up, that one slide. That's,
be great.
I was looking, that's what I was looking for. We didn't get that.
We're going to keep Julian busy tonight.
Trial by fire. Okay. He's young. He can take it. Yep,
No, 1 back, 2 back. That
there,
one.
yeah.
Okay, and of those,
Oh, are you sharing?
was there a minute ago?
There you go.
That one, I believe.
Yeah.
So the future land use in question is that white box, medium density residential MDR with 35-foot height maximum.
What is NC?
The white one,
Neighborhood commercial.
neighborhood
Oh,
commercial.
okay.
And so in the medium density residential, there are 4 zoning district options, which is one is a single family residential at 7 units an acre, single family, 2-family 14, which is 14 units an acre, multifamily 20, which is 20 units an acre, and then neighborhood commercial, which does have a facilitate up to 20 units of residential, but also is really set up to be neighborhood serving commercial. And we have a few areas in the city that do that.
I have a
Good.
few more. Thank you. I believe you mentioned that there is only one egress
That's true.
to this property. And is it fair to say that it's a reasonable assumption that the amount of traffic that would be associated with a zoning of SFR would be different and less traffic than a zoning of SFTF 14? Is that a reasonable planning best practices assumption?
On the traditional basis of traffic generation standards, single family, 2-family 14, which would allow up to 2 units per lot, would generate more traffic than SFR. The caveat being, what are the size of the properties? Larger houses with more bedrooms and more bathrooms have a little stipulation that they might generate more traffic. So if I can't say in every instance, the SFR might have less traffic than SFTF 14, but on most cases, the SFR would have less traffic generation than SFTF 14.
Okay. And has whoever, I guess the county fire department, have they commented at all on what they think of any sort of development on it with single egress and entrance?
It is our understanding from the applicant that Palm Beach County Fire Rescue would require the residential buildings, regardless of what type they are, to be sprinkled, since there's only one way in and only one way out.
Okay. The property is quite unusual as being the highest, I believe the highest point in Lake Worth, to my knowledge. The elevation difference is dealt with in some places with a retaining wall. Is there any concern been expressed by anybody as to development happening there affecting that wall or those walls? I believe there are a number adversely.
We heard concerns from a number of the residents in Murray Hills at the Planning and Zoning Board. We've heard it periodically through the past history, and I've been with the city 15 plus years now, and it's come up a couple of times in a development, I think 2 different development applications that sort of made some progress. There were conditions that were being proposed where the wall would have to be evaluated and assessed in terms of any impact that the private development on the elevated site, what it might have on those, on the wall, and consequently Murray Hills. So that will be part of the site plan process as well as part of the building permit process.
And this is a little bit wonky question and you can defer on it, but as a soil physics, soil scientist, one of the things that would occur to me that right now it is largely pervious surface, which means that it gets plenty of rainwater that goes into it, and that rainwater stabilizes that soil. If you put a lot more impervious surface on it, it's going to tend to be drier and less stable, as we all know from going to the beach when things dry out versus when they're held together by capillary forces. Is that been thought about? Because that would affect stabilities of the lower area around it.
Well, the conceptual site plan that we received was not a typical, in the sense, straight platting of lots. There were 2 areas of dry retention. Stormwater would have to be managed per the regulations of the city's water sewer department, as well as South Florida Water Management District, and how that would be handled, we don't know yet because there is no formal site plan that's been submitted.
Okay, I think that's it for me for the moment.
Thank you. No other questions? Okay, I ask now the developer, the petitioner, to step forward and give his presentation. Do you have slides or? Okay, Julian, do you have those slides? Thank you. Yeah,
It's the easiest.
we
way
have to get
do
it. Yeah.
Yeah, this is.
I'll lean over. That's okay.
Yeah.
We really want short people to talk.
Board, okay.
I'm sorry.
I beg your pardon.
My wife's 5'2", so our house is
You need to, it's on, but you need to
Yeah.
speak right into it.
right on it.
Yep.
Okay,
There you
got
go.
it. All right, so basically, you guys have seen
Please
and
state
heard
your name for the record, please.
Chris Rayleigh, 4521 PGA Boulevard, Palm Beach Gardens, Florida, speaking toward the 826 Sunset Drive property.
Could you just spell your last name for folks?
R-A-L-E-Y.
R-A-L-E-Y.
Yeah,
Simple.
no I.
I think my pen is a reason.
Everybody puts an I. And so basically, because you guys have seen the property and I've spoken and met with almost everyone here on many different occasions, referencing the emails that Sarah has spoken about, I would say she's very accurate in how many have been around, plus the ones that I sent to you guys, some of you here in this room. So what I wanted to do is just give a quick little history of why I got involved with the project in the first place for everybody that's here and how I got involved with it. So in May of 2021, I decided to go under contract on the property after talking with William Waters, Planning and Zoning Department, the then city manager, Michael Bornstein, and several other people who had advised that, they felt like that the path forward for the property was to do SFR zoning with some bonus density programs that would allow us to do 42 townhome units, which is what I wanted to do at that time. I went through quite a bit of iterations from June of 2021 until February of 2024 with meetings and we actually developed a settlement agreement during that time that was part of the underlying sellers who, you know, were thinking that this property was, you know, being not zoned and not having a land use assigned in 2018, that, you know, they wanted to get as much density as possible. And so I kind of got into the middle of the density question and how we would get there and how would we do it. William's recommendation was to go through the SFR zoning, which is what everybody in this room wants, I believe, but then to add these bonus densities to it that would get it to 42 units so that the sellers could get the price that they wanted for the property and the density that they felt like they needed. Based on the conversations that we had leading up to that and the settlement agreement that was actually signed at the time by Rollo, Katie McGivern and Trip Ciochi actually signed a settlement agreement. The seller signed a settlement agreement and everything was for 42 townhome units. By the time March rolled around and we went to the actual planning and zoning hearing, in order to do the 42 townhome units, it would have required a citywide ordinance change, which would have then allowed townhomes in an SFR zoning, which currently are not allowed. They're also not allowed in an SFTF 14 zoning either. So townhomes were something that needed to be approved, and the bonus density programs would need to be approved as a citywide. Planning and Zoning Commission at that meeting decided that the presentation that was given did not include enough information for them to be able to make a decision on that. So they decided to deny that request, which then meant that my application was no good. Because without that, I couldn't do my 42 townhomes. So I withdrew my application, didn't bring it to the commission because I didn't want to go down that road. From that period and for about another 8 or 9 months, the 42 townhomes were then contemplated as something that townhomes could be added to the SFR zoning. And in, I believe it was in November-ish of 2024, the Planning and Zoning Board actually unanimously recommended the approval of an ordinance that would allow for townhomes in SFR and in SFTF 14. And then in December, the City Commission said, no, we're not going to allow that. So at that point, December 2024, the townhomes were dead. And I mean, I think everybody in this room never wanted townhomes in the first place. So I said, okay, fair enough. At that point, we started working on another plan that would allow us to do at least some type of development to get some type of a zoning assigned. We worked on a couple of different site plans, like William said. I met with the mayor. I met with the new president of Rollo, Jill Carlin, who has somebody that I've spoken with for the last 2 or 3 years from a sustainability standpoint. And we just tried to get on the same page with what we might be able to do from a development standpoint, but more importantly, what we could do to get a zoning assigned so I could actually close on the property and eliminate one of the variables, which are the sellers that are there and have been there. So that was kind of the goal and is the goal at this point. So when we went through this process from basically January of 2025 till September 2025, you know, we kind of looked at, we can't do townhomes. We're, you know, basically at single family homes, whether they're single family with 2 families or single family with 1 family, it was almost the same in our boat because it's the same type of house. The 2 family would allow for accessory dwelling units, which the SFR does not. So if we wanted to do a detached garage with an apartment over for college kids or an in-law suite, ground level, you know, you do have that possibility. The challenge is then you have lot size restrictions. So, and what can you actually fit on a lot? I mean, this is only 4 acres. And when you add the drainage, by the way, the drainage that we have to do says we have to hold all of our water. So we can't let any water come off of our property onto any of your property. So I think that helps solve some of the problems that might be occurring now. So when that property is developed, the water management district actually, as William mentioned, does require that. So one of the things that we do from a sustainable standpoint too, is we use pervious pavers to help reduce the impervious would just be the road basically, and then the slabs where the houses are at. So we had, you know, we feel like we came up with a couple of different options that would work. And in July, when we submitted this application, July, August, the SFR zoning was not available in the MDR land use. The lowest density available in the MDR land use was SFTF 14. So when we submit our application, that's what we submitted, as opposed to SFR, which is what we had submitted previously. The SFR we had submitted previously was with all the different bonus densities, but it wasn't available in the MDR. And you guys decided to include the SFR in the MDR, and now it is included, as William pointed out. So, and if you look at the bottom of my slide here, what I basically said is, okay, look, the SFR and the SFTF 14 has the same minimum lot areas. It has the same minimum lot width, the same maximum height allowances. The setbacks are exactly the same, and the minimum living area is the same. So there really, from a spatial standpoint, isn't much of a difference between the SFR and the SFTF 14 with the number of lots. The biggest difference is with the SFTF 14, you could put 2 units on that lot. What were those 2 units be? Is it a house, an accessory dwelling unit? Is it, you can't really do 2 houses because you can only have 1 owner of the lot. So it's you can't have 2 different owners on that lot. It's just 1 owner per lot. So when we looked at this again, when we submitted our application and SFR wasn't available, we said, well, we can do the same thing in SFTF 14 that we can do in SFR. So that's what we'll look at. We'll look at 20 lots. We'll look at 22. We had one with 26, knowing that 7 units to the acre was the least, but it's going to be somewhere between 22 lots and 20 lots, just depending on drainage. That's really what we've boiled it down to now. I did a lot of engineering work on the initial townhome plan. So we did have drainage. We did go to the water management district. We did talk to the county. They did tell us we would have to put sprinklers in the units. And that wouldn't matter what we did. That's whether it's SFR or SFTF 14, we have to do the same thing. So with all of that in mind, and based on how many different people that I've talked to and met with, and the people that are here tonight as affected parties, my next slide is basically, which one? Up, down, middle? Oh, there we go. Is basically just what I feel like at this point, after talking with everybody, that we would like to do in consideration of everybody that's here tonight and the affected parties. So one of the people that I spoke with quite extensively, had mentioned that the site's natural features, the perimeter buffers, all of these things are important. So our goal is that once we have the zoning, we'll design a site plan, which we've done a few of them, that consider all of that, using the minimum lot size requirements, using the perimeter buffer requirements, which are the same for SFR and SFTF 14. It's exactly the same. To preserve as many of the natural features as we can, and enhance the overall site development. So we're definitely going to consider that. The wall has been a huge question. And in the very beginning, it was very difficult because the wall is not on our property. It's on Murray Hills property. And they built the wall. It is 14 foot tall. They built it to maximize density on their site. The developer did, not the current Murray Hills people, but they wanted to put units as close to that wall as possible. And they did, within 5 feet, which are the setbacks. And so the wall was built in order to alleviate the natural land so they could, add 2 more buildings to the property. So when we looked at the wall originally, I'm an industrial engineer. I had a structural engineer come out and do a site inspection. Once we realized the wall was not on our property, then we couldn't do a full-blown inspection without Murray Hills approval. And then Murray Hills, their attorney wanted us to put up a bond or some type of insurance. And so what we finally ended up, and I said, no, I said, I can't do that. I'm not going to do that. It's not my wall. I didn't build it. It's 60 years old. I can't just do that. So I need to know what we have and what we're dealing with. The wall could be falling down tomorrow. I mean, if a structural engineer goes out there. So what we did agree to was that we would do an inspection, and that we would have somebody at Murray Hills permission allow us to do a full inspection of the wall. So again, since it's Murray Hills wall, we have to have their permission to be able to do that. So I did see the blueprints of the wall from 60 years ago. It's built extremely well.
Thank you. That's time.
And
Okay, so traffic concerns, Commissioner Mavoy pointed that out. I didn't think I had a time limit. Yeah, 10. the concern over the heights of the structures, again, that's the same for SFR and SFTF 14. There's no difference there. Drainage, we mentioned, and, concerns over more intense future development. I mean, spatially, the site limits the ability to do more density there in either one of the two zoning categories. So based on that and based on the city's approval and the zoning's recommendation, we would ask that you would vote yes to approve SFTF 14.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions, Mr. McBoy?
I think my questions would be back for our staff. So I defer to others if they have questions for the.
Anybody else have
Mr.
any questions
Riley.
for the bill? Of course, Mr. Daly. No? Okay. Oh, then here you go.
So if everything is the same, why do we have to do the 14th?
That's what was available.
Okay, so if other choices were available at that time, you would have gone for
We
SFR.
did go for SFR.
Okay,
That's what we went for originally.
and that's still amenable to you.
Yeah, I mean, that
Okay.
was from the very beginning. That's what we went for, was
Excellent.
SFR. We went with bonus densities and other things,
Mhm.
but that's what we went for.
I
And then we
appreciate-
could.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
So you would be okay with SFR?
Well, I'm the applicant and, we've agreed on that. So that's between me and those guys. So, I mean, and the owner. Yeah, John. So, I mean, that's something that we have to work out between us as the applicant and the contract holder. So,
Okay. You'll have to fill out a card, sir.
as the owner,
Is he an interested? Yes, he says, I understand that.
yeah.
Has he listed himself as an interested party? Well, that's a little bit different. He just have to have a card then, right? Right, no, he came in late. Well, no, actually, you did not register as an interested party. This is a time, the next group of speakers are the interested parties. Then we'll have public comment, blue cards. So if you want to make a comment, you would fill out a blue card. Okay, I mean, you're welcome to fill out a blue card. Mr. McBoy, do you have a question?
Yeah, I have a couple of questions for William.
Well, but no, this is the end of that. So yeah,
Again,
Yeah.
If you have. a
now's the
question
time
for
to
him.
ask a question if you have a
Yeah,
question.
yeah.
Oh, you of him? Okay, go. I didn't see your light on. Okay.
That's okay. Mr. Rayleigh, you had just stated that you had the integrity of the wall inspected.
Visually, not a full inspection, just a structural engineer came out and just visually looked at the wall. That was it.
So that would be like me just walking up to the wall and saying, yep, sure looks good, or
Well,
no,
we would-
doesn't. I mean,
Not quite. Not
No,
quite.
I mean,
We had the
did you
blueprint,
guys-
we had the blueprints of the wall. He was able to do the inspection based on the blueprints and do a site inspection. Anything further than that would warrant actual.
so you didn't put cameras
Physical
in, you
check.
guys didn't go down the
That's the next
inside of the
step.
wall to make sure there was no cracks, that the foundation
What
was
we
stable.
agreed to is before we would pull a building permit, we would do that.
Okay.
If Murray Hills will allow us, that we did now agree to do that.
Okay, and then I also mentioned, I'd heard you and I had talked about a bond before, and then you just brought it up. So what agreement came of that? Because you brought it up during your testimony.
I have not agreed to anything with insurance or bonding until I do the inspection. So once we do the inspection, we see what the actual condition of the wall is now, then we'll look at what possible remedy would be in place in case we do damage it. Because if we do something there that damages the wall, then it's our fault. It's our fault.
Okay, thank you.
Fair enough.
Okay, thank you. And it occurs to me that it's in nobody's best interest for that wall to come down with
Right.
whoever developed.
No,
It's not good if your houses fall down and
no.
bury
yeah,
the condos.
it's a mess.
Mr. Zegridge?
Thank you. In your comparison of SFR and SFTF 14, looked virtually the same. Is it also the same in terms of the coverage ratio, lot coverage,
Yes.
in terms of impermeability
Yes.
and overall of that?
Setbacks are the same. Everything's identical.
So your example of the small living space above a garage, could you also achieve that as an accessory structure and just not have the
So
ability
for
to rent it?
SFR, it would have to be attached.
Mhm.
It couldn't be an actual accessory dwelling unit, which is actual detached unit. That would be the only difference.
Okay.
Which is, we've had
But could
people
be
ask
done.
us about that. Yeah, as an attached.
Right.
So, and there's ways to do that with a
Yeah.
causeway roof. We've done it. So, there are ways to do that. And again, initially we came in with SFR. And we came in with SFR because we wanted to do 42 individual townhomes from a pricing standpoint, because we were trying to hit a market rate pricing at that point. with the townhomes because the single families have just gotten so expensive. So I've always been at that point, and the sellers as well. But then after we went through all that and got denied and the townhomes weren't approved, then, the concern over valuation became the primary concern with the property. So, which is where they've been out, from the very beginning, and John can speak to that, which he will. So, but as a developer at this point, I feel like they're identical, the SFTF 14 and the SFR.
So overall square footage of the structures that you'd be building would be pretty much the same with,
Pretty much the same.
with
Yeah, the difference is you could have two families
the
living
two
there.
family giving the option of rental income, whereas the single family you wouldn't.
That is, you could do a rental if you had a two family, but it's still one owner.
Okay.
So same unit, same height, everything's the same.
Well, the difference is economic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, it depends. It could be. Is there a market for that economically? I know the market for SFR. I know the market for what we can do with that. What could we do with a two family? That's a great question. I mean, especially if it's one owner.
Okay.
How does that work?
Mr. McFoy, you have a question for staff?
Actually, I did, one of my questions is for Mr. Rayleigh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Without
Thank you. Without an I got that. Wasn't sure about the pronunciation. You mentioned that you would be interested. Obviously, this is not that stage, but you're expressing it now. When the site plan gets to that point, preserving the natural features.
Do it
Could
as
you
best as you
be
can.
a little more specific what you mean by that?
Well, so specifically the perimeter trees that are around the perimeter, what we've tried to do is put as much buffer there as possible. Some of the internal trees we'll try to keep as well. Some are healthy, some aren't. We've already done. I mean, initially I did everything. I did a tree study. I had an arborist out there. I used WGI. I mean, we did traffic studies, 3 different ones before the bridge, after the bridge. I mean, we did all of this when we were looking at the townhomes. And then when the townhomes got taken off the table, we just kind of pulled back. So we're a sustainable developer. That's always kind of been our goal, was to preserve what we could there. And really, in my opinion, the ones that are around the perimeter, which are what give the buffer of the property from Murray Hills and from the single family residential as well.
And do you happen to remember the ones that are around the edge? Are they mostly native trees? Are they, is there some of it Brazilian pepper or whatever?
There's some mango trees there. So there's quite a few around the perimeter are mainly native. John could probably speak to that better than I can. So yeah, well,
No, actually, no. Sir, with all due respect, no.
He did ask.
He's a
Yes.
landscape architect, so he can speak to
Yeah.
that. But yeah, that without whatever site plan we end up doing, that's the goal. Is to try to do that.
Can I direct some questions to Mr. Waters? Sure. And thank you for that. Whatever zoning we here decide on, does that in any way preclude one zoning or the other if the sale from the gentleman behind to Mr. Rayleigh goes through? Hope I got that right. Does that preclude Mr. Rayleigh selling the property either way?
Ownership is irrelevant to the establishment of zoning.
It runs with the land.
It runs with the land. I
Okay.
will say that it's proven very, very difficult to sell this land with no zoning.
I wish we
Right.
could buy it.
Then my other question, is really the developer presented a helpful table of the various of the characteristics of SFR versus the TF 14. What that doesn't tell us that maybe you can help us with is we have various other programs, transferable development rights, sustainable bonuses, various different things. And so what I would like to hear from you, Mr. Waters, is essentially that table, but with the potential add-ons for both of those two situations.
That's my note right here. I have that same note.
Well, we're all on the same page.
Nice to hear.
I mean, I could speak to that. And the minimum lot size requirements actually would dictate that spatially. So because they're the same. So when you look at all those additional densities that you can add, the minimum lot size won't, unless we went to townhomes, which are not allowed. That's the way we were going to go, because we were going to go to the townhomes in order to do exactly what you're talking about. But yeah, townhomes are out.
My question, maybe it's the same question, just different, would be what Are there sustainability bonuses available here? What are they and how would they affect the development?
And how do they differ between those
Hmm. Right.
two categories?
I was, no, it's not that. I was trying to pull it up on the, our comprehensive plan and our zoning code do stipulate when you can utilize, the density bonuses, but those are only available through a plan development.
And this is not a planned development.
Right. And so,
But is there anything constraining it from being a planned development in the future?
well, it doesn't meet the minimum lot size of 5 acres west of 95 for a traditional plan development. It does qualify because it's a half an acre or bigger as an urban plan development, which the density bonus is capped at 25%. But I don't believe that SFR zoning allows for a plan development as such. And if you give, there it is. There are sustainable bonuses under both zoning categories for additional FAR and potentially a little bit more height, depending on the inclusion of various sustainable features.
Well, height is one of my concerns.
And we do have the provision that even though it's called an urban mixed-use plan development, any one of our plan developments can be entirely residential based on the underlying zoning that would be there. So
I know I hate to put staff on spot.
it's okay. I'm used to it. It happens all
know.
day, every day.
Got to keep you on your toes.
You can do a plan development in SFR zoning. What would be allowed at this property potentially, and it would have to come back for the city commission for 2 readings, based on its lot size, would be an increase of density of 25%. So it goes from 7 to essentially 9 something. You can also transfer in up to 10 units an acre from TDRs, but how you fit all that in an SFR district on single family, because you'd have to have a gigantic waiver, which we would not support, of the minimum lot size, because the minimum lot size is 5,000 square feet. And conceptual design that Mr. Redley's provided, I think maximum of 22. If they were able to figure out how to do something different with the water management, it might get to 24. So regardless of how you bump the densities up, you couldn't fit them on the property unless you did a townhouse development, which is not allowed in SFR. Now, there are some provisions that I can't remember exactly, but and Mr. Chasivi and I sat in on some of these meetings with the Fluger proceeding, which is kind of out the window away. The mediator, and her name just went out of my head, I'm sorry. Anyway, she had mentioned that in order to settle the Fluger hearing, you can do essentially what's kind of like spot zoning. So there was an agreement way back when, a handshake agreement to allow, I believe it was 9 units an acre, which would allow 36 units. Well, our future land use wasn't established at that point. And so that's one reason why the medium density residential was placed on it. So you could get up to 9. Because low density residential future land use only allows up to 7. I was fairly new in the Fluger proceeding. I've never been involved in one, but it does seem that you can do this sort of spot zoning thing that is mediated among the parties. And maybe Mr. Chasivi can elaborate a little bit more on it, because we did talk about it quite a bit, because there were meetings like once a month when I first got here as a way to solve this. And it would be its stand-alone thing. But that didn't move forward. I forgot how many different iterations of a site plan by other developers were brought forward. It must have been at least 3 over the course of several years that didn't move forward. And so there it kind of sat for a while until, as Mr. Libby brought up, he came in with a site plan, and then it started moving forward under other options.
Madam Mayor, if I could add to William,
Hi.
sorry, that Fluger agreement we're talking about was 2013. So obviously it's well over a decade. It expired
I was gonna say it's
about 2014 or thereabouts. It had about a year lead time and it never came to fruition. So
handshakes are interesting, but not enforceable.
I was told.
it was written,
Oh,
but
no, I'm saying there was a
But-
comment about some of, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, let me just, so that I'm clear before we, so but is there a sustainability bonus available to this property? Like we do affordable housing, you get, or more,
Yes, there are a number of bonuses allowed for any property in the city. The density bonus could go up by 15% if the additional 15% of the units are all meet the criteria of the city's affordable housing program, which
would that come to the commission?
not necessarily. And I'm sorry I can't give you definitives, but on the additional the 15% density bonus on affordable housing can be done through a site plan through approval either by the
If they were gonna do
Historic Resource
affordable
Preservation
housing.
Board or the Planning and Zoning Board. Again, though, if it's SFR or SFTF 14, those units have to be on a standard size lot, which is 5,000 square
There's
feet.
no deviation from
You
the lot
can't get
size.
around it. So the only
Okay.
process really available to get a unit count higher than what is allowed under SFR is to a townhouse
Which
process,
they can't do.
which we do have a townhouse option under SFTF 14. We just don't allow townhouses as 2-unit buildings, which we brought to you for
Mhm.
consideration because there were several people who wanted it on South Federal Highway and you decided not. So to do a 2-unit option to sell a property, it has to be done as a condominium.
All right, okay. Are you done with your questions? Oh, you didn't get yours. Yeah, okay, I'm sorry.
Actually, in light of what Mr. Waters had just said, I'd like to make a motion to approve SFR zoning pursuant to our comprehensive plan.
We haven't finished the hearing yet,
Okay.
but I understand, that's a motion,
If
right?
possible, I will second that.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr.
I
Attorney?
mean, we could,
we have to finish your hearing before you
Right.
could vote on the motion.
Okay,
But-
so we can have.
There's a motion on the table
There's a
at this
mo-
point.
But also keep in mind, under a quasi-judicial hearing, to make a motion, you must demonstrate the substantial competent evidence that supports the motion being made. And I would, from our standpoint, advise you to wait for all the testimony to be
Yeah,
given. So then you could provide the substantial competent evidence that would justify your recommending, as you were saying, an SFR district.
Yeah, I would concur, William. You might want to withdraw the motion, hold
Yeah,
off until
I
you
agree
get
with
more
you, and I
evidence.
understand, right, but
no, because I just listened to everything that our staff
No,
said.
but
in
we have-
regards to
we
the
have
density
17
zoning, and
interested
that just makes
parties.
sense to me.
I mean, it's
So-
interesting that the applicant is agreeing to SFR, so I'm wondering how much. I mean, do we have an agreement? Folks, really?
So, I mean, I'm not trying to be premature and I understand this is a hearing, but I'm listening to staff. I'm listening to the testimony from both the parties who just gave us their
Right.
testimony. And representing District 1, I wanted to make a motion.
You're not, that's fine.
Still have questions.
I understand that. Let me just get this proceeding. Mr. Attorney,
You need me to withdraw that?
Please.
it would be helpful.
Okay, I will withdraw momentarily and set on
Well, you'll be the one to make the motion. Okay,
the
guaranteed.
motion to approve SFR in light of the testimony that's been given.
All right, thank you. Mr. Tresivia, do we have an agreement?
I think at this point, you really need to hear from the affected parties because we don't know what they're all going to say. I think we all have an idea what they're going to say, but the 17 affected parties, and they may shorten
They might. shorten
to
their
Commissioner May's comments. There may be a lot to say, but
Everything needs to be said. Not everybody needs to say it.
right. So people might decide to shorten or waive their comment, but they do have the right to be heard.
No,
Absolutely.
and that's why.
Can they
that's-
waive in support of?
They can come up and just.
Sure.
They
Okay.
could, yeah. Yeah. Goodness. First of all, Mr. McBoyd, you have questions?
Yes, yeah. Thank you. This is again for William. I just, before being able to vote on this and competent and substantial evidence and so on, I need to understand clearly the difference between the SFR plus benefits and the SFTF 14 plus whatever benefits. because one could imagine a situation where if we're concerned about traffic density or number of units or whatever, that maybe when you add the benefits on, since it's not at all easy and obvious to figure out what the final package deal could look like, I want to make sure that we are not going in a direction that, is contrary to the benefits of the broader city.
Okay, well, the density bonuses that are afforded a urban mixed-use plan development residential only are the same, whether it's SFR or SFTF 14. It's just the base zoning for which you start would be 7 units an acre under SFR and 14 under SFTF 14, with a multiplier of 1.25 for additional plan development density is the same. 0.25 of 14 is more than 0.25 of 7. The 10 units an acre under available under transfer development rights would be the same both ways. And then 15% increase for affordable housing, of course, would be greater for SFTF 14 because it starts out higher to begin with. The final number, again, is really going to be dictated by how you configure the lots. And you can ask for a lower lot size requirement because I don't know if anybody was on the board except for you, maybe Mr. McBoy, when we did Lake Cove, that plan development has lot sizes that are a little bit smaller than 5,000 square feet. But then they also collected a large parcel of land for water retention. So the average land attributed to each lot did work out to be more than 5,000 square feet. But again, you've got to have a lot size that's big enough to put something on. So we could give it in the worst case scenario, 25, 14, you're up to about 30 units an acre, but can you really put 30 units, which is 120 units on postage stamp size lots as individual buildings? I don't think so.
With one egress and
Yeah.
ingress. Well, I think what you're telling me is that if one of our concerns as representative for the community as a whole is to take into account the effects on the surroundings, including traffic, then I think what you're telling me is that, or telling us, is that the single family residential is likely to have less of a traffic impact on the surroundings. Am I correct in that?
Yeah, you asked.
Likely.
He already told you that.
I would say that most likely in almost every situation, the SFR would have a lower traffic impact than an SFTF 14. I can't say that in all cases,
Right. That's why I say
but
likely.
empirically, it would make sense that it would.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you very much. All right, now we come to the part of this program where affected parties, you each, what? The program, it is our program. I rarely get a script. Affected, which is probably a good thing that I got one. Affected parties each have a maximum of 10 minutes to present. Having heard what's going on tonight, you don't have to use your 10 minutes, and you could. You're
There's
certainly
no minimum.
allowed
There is
to.
a max.
And there is no minimum. You're absolutely right. So, or you could waive your opportunity to speak. The first up is Murray Hills Association, Inc., represented by Anthony Scott J. Lee on Zoom. There he is.
Hello.
Mr. Scott, do you
State-
swear or affirm that in this proceeding you will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If so, say yes, please.
I do.
And please state who you represent and your name.
Scott Lee, and I represent Murray Hills Association.
Okay. And just, state your name and your office address.
Scott Lee, my address is 12300 South Shore Boulevard, Wellington, Florida, 33414.
Thank you. You have, but don't need to take 10 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And I will abbreviate my comments. I did have a longer presentation, but I do want to make a couple points in order to move the presentation along. Just going to highlight a couple things. There's no disrespect to Mr. Raley, but there's a bit of revisionist history that you heard from him while he was standing at the podium. First, this is really the first time we're hearing it now. He was okay with SFR. He was okay with FSR previously, provided there were townhouses that were attached to that zoning designation. Uh, in various meetings and communications that the residents of Murray Hills had with him, he never indicated once that SFR and that particular zoning density would be acceptable to him. You also heard that he inspected that wall, which is not correct. A visual inspection is not an inspection at all. He did zero destructive testing, even though we invited him to do so. He came to our community. He made a presentation. We asked him to do destructive testing on the wall. He refused to spend a nickel as it relates to that. I think one of the commissioners had indicated, visual inspection is worthless, which is absolutely correct. Another problem, frankly, with Mr. Rayleigh's comments and presentation relates to the accessory unit. This commission, plus the Planning and Zoning Board, probably recalls quite clearly that Mr. Rayleigh intends to use these units as rental units, or at least make them available for rental. So this accessory unit, let's be real, it's not going to be a mother-in-law suite. It's not going to be used for the child that's coming home from college. It's going to be used as an additional rental unit, which is another reason among a whole host of reasons why SFTF 14 is inappropriate, to take away that accessory unit potential, which is only going to increase the number of folks that are going to be living in this community, increasing the traffic. You also heard on a couple occasions him mentioning something about the settlement agreement. I think Mr. Torcivia had indicated there is no such settlement agreement, and that's the case, and that's been stated by him in other hearings just like this, where there's no binding settlement agreement involving Murray Hills. Murray Hills was not a signatory to that particular agreement, and plus, there was no absolute right on the part of Mr. Rayleigh to develop the property. It was still up to the city to make the final determinations. To just throw out there these descriptions that there's some semblance of a settlement agreement is that may be binding on any level is simply not correct. It appears as if the commission is certainly heading in the direction of SFR, which is critical and important and substantially better. We know it's not great in comparison to SFTF 14. And one thing that has been overlooked in some of these hearings is what the current zoning allows for. And understandably, you have a county designation, and it was for one reason or the other, there was never a proper zoning designation placed on this postage stamp parcel by the city. And we get it. There has to be some type of zoning designation put on it. But I think the existing zoning as labeled by the county for this particular parcel has kind of been given short shrift. And the commission should look at the current county zoning designation to see that the future zoning designation, if it's SFR or hopefully not SFTF 14, kind of is close in proximity to the existing county designation. And the existing county designation allows for single-family homes, the maximum density of which is 4 dwelling units. Four. For two-family uses, the maximum density is 6 dwelling units. For townhouses, which are inapplicable, it's still only 6 dwelling units. So it stands to reason that the lowest possible density that's available to the city should be chosen here, SFR, which seems to be a consensus, which is, frankly, news, and that Mr. Rayleigh is now seemingly accepting that. But we are deeply concerned that come site plan approval, that there's going to be these added bonuses, and he's going to try and jam in more units than what SFR otherwise allows, which is only going to exacerbate a traffic problem, exacerbate a drainage problem, and disregard the current condition of the existing wall. In law school, we learned about something called the eggshell skull rule, also known as the thin skull rule, which is a principle in tort law that states a defendant must take their victim as they find them. This means that if a person has a pre-existing condition or vulnerability, i.e. this wall in Murray Hills, that makes him more susceptible to injury, the other party is still fully liable for all damages resulting from their actions. The rationale behind this rule is rooted in fairness and justice and ensures that parties cannot escape the responsibilities because the injuries to the other party inflicted were more severe than what would typically occur. The rule emphasizes that the responsibility for the consequences of one action should not be mitigated by the victim's unique characteristics. This rule applies to this zoning application. The zoning decision of this body should not be based upon, and I'm not getting that impression, the rote reading or simplistic interpretation of the city's land development code, but rather based upon Murray Hill's unique characteristics. We can't disregard the fact that this particular parcel is way up in the sky, so to speak, upwards of 30 feet higher than Murray Hills. We can't disregard the fact that there is a wall that is deteriorating and is dilapidated that Mr. Raley and his company refused to properly investigate. So we respectfully ask that this, and it seems to be very much adhered to based upon the commentary to date, that the SFR designation is absolutely the right one to go with to minimize and mitigate the impact, which is going to be significant. No matter what zoning designation is placed on this parcel, there's going to be an impact. And this is step one. Step two being the site plan approval, and that's just as important as this zoning designation. So we respectfully request that the lowest possible impact on Murray Hills is put into place and accepted by this commission, which appears to be the SFR. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Up next, the residents of Lake Osborne Heights represent, Scott Harris et al. There you are. Okay. And you have been sworn in. You were sworn in, right? Yeah. Mess up our dais.
The
Your microphone has to be on and you need to speak right into it. You can pick it up. No, you have, there you go.
All
But
right.
you have to hold, you have to go real close.
I'll just
This
pick
is
it
all
up.
being recorded as well.
Understood. Madam Mayor, members of the commission, John Jorgensen, law firm of Scott Harris, 4400 PGA Boulevard, Suite 800, or Suite 603, Palm Beach Gardens, 33414, or 33410. I do represent residents of Lake Osborne Heights, Rollo. I agree with Mr. Raley. My clients agree with Mr. Raley to SFR zoning. However, this is a quasi judicial proceeding. Mr. Waters in the staff report has presented competent substantial evidence in favor of SFPF zoning. However, that's not the end of the story for a quasi judicial hearing. My clients and other affected parties and interested parties will present testimony today in support of SFR zoning. And they can testify to these issues better than I can, but basically it'll be regarding the retaining wall that Mr. Lee has talked extensively about, the traffic issues, because since there's only one ingress and egress, loss of green space, infrastructure issues about whether there's sufficient infrastructure in the neighborhood to handle, a development of a higher density, safety issues, concerns about home values, all these things the commission can consider in a quasi judicial proceeding. So simply because staff has presented one side or has recommended approval of the SFPF doesn't mean obviously that the commission has to follow that, provided there is competent substantial evidence to the contrary that would support SFR zoning. And just as I've summarized, I think there will be in this case. Additionally, historically, the property was used for single family. That's another bit of evidence that the commission can consider in this quasi judicial proceeding. There's no vested rights here that the commission has to be concerned about because the property's never been zoned since it was annexed in the city over 20 years ago. There's really no estoppel issue. So when the commission hears all the other interested parties and the affected parties testify, they can weigh that testimony. And the way that they do it, if the commission determines that there is competent substantial evidence, the only issue is, okay, is that fairly debatable? If the commission makes its determination for SFR, is it fairly debatable? Is there a legitimate public purpose that this commission is basing its decision on? And again, based on the summary of those issues that I've just raised, I think the commission has a legitimate public purpose to limit this zoning to SFR zoning. I've only been involved in this for 2 months. The history lesson's been very interesting. Glad to hear about it. Glad I didn't live through it. But again,
The battle scars.
yeah. Rollo agrees with Mr. Rayleigh's, gracious gesture to accept SFR. And again, we believe that there'll be competent, substantial evidence given throughout this proceeding to support SFR. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thomas and Deborah Cleary. Calling once. Mr. and Mrs. Cleary. Twice. All right. Suzanne Kyochi. Or I don't know if I'm saying that right. Probably not. Kyochi, she's not here. Okay. Chris Frost and Catherine Renee Hunter Frost.
Better bake good.
Hi. Name and address, please.
Chris, can you hear me?
But one at a time is probably better.
Chris and Renee Frost, 2212 Qualtrough. Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, and City staff. Our primary concern is traffic and access. Allowing higher density development at 826 Sunset Drive would funnel additional traffic, cars, delivery trucks, and construction vehicles through this one-way ingress egress, creating daily congestion and dangerous delays for police, fire, and EMS. We respectfully ask that you reject the STF 14 rezoning for Sunset Drive and maintain the single-family character of our neighborhood. We are in favor of FFR. Thank you for your time and your service. And I cut mine way short.
I was going to read that. And we thank you for that. Emily Golish. Emily? Calling once? Calling twice? All right, no Emily. Nicoletta Luis. Nicoletta. Not here. Lou. Hi. Hi. I'm gonna have to ask how to pronounce your name. No, but your last name, that I got. Lulis. Okay, thank you very much. Name and address?
821 Sunset Drive, where the ingress and egress is being proposed to be for this planned development. You've heard from me and everyone for quite some time. This does not fit in our neighborhood. This is too much density. There should be something else built there. That's the bottom line. And let's stop joking about this. The elevation of this property does not belong as single family 14, period. It is within our neighborhood. The end. Thank you.
Bravo. Thank you. Fini. Dr. John and Ruth Lynch, followed by Kathleen McGivern. Is she here? Katie? I haven't seen Katie.
I haven't seen her, but
No. Dr. and Mrs. Lynch.
Call him sir.
Sir?
So cute.
She called him sir?
You called him sir instead of doctor.
He
He's a knight.
deserves it.
Yes.
He
Dr.
took care of my
John.
dogs.
Dr. John and Ruth Lynch, 2802 Lake Osborne Drive.
Thank you.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
This can be a little disjointed, okay, under the circumstances, but I remain deeply concerned about the level of development density. I was very concerned about SFTF 14. I'm still concerned about SFR. But because the existing neighborhood infrastructure was not designed to accommodate any of these additional homes. The ridge and the 60-year-old Murray Hills wall was never engineered to support additional mass. Hundreds of new vehicle trips a day would jeopardize safety. It would degrade quality of life, depress home values, and this is true, concerns already prompting some residents to consider leaving. And of course, you remember that the 42 townhomes was denied unanimously by the commission for many of these same concerns. These are the same concerns we talked about. Additionally, I'm still troubled by the developer's possible intent to sell or flip the property following the zoning approval. In fact, the property was listed for 4 million on LoopNet in May 2025 before being removed in July after we made inquiries, or neighborhood made inquiries. And such actions suggest a different intent. It's still a concern to us. The packet that we have, it's interesting, when it was before the Planning and Zoning Board, the 16 home proposal was still included in part of the presentation. It actually still exists in your packet. In the staff report, it mentions the property is proposed to be developed with the 16 single family homes. Where'd that go? But then later in the packet, in the justification statement, the references of lot sizes, a minimum of 100 feet in depth and 50 feet in width, and lot platted independently as fee simple ownership, the language is sort of the same as the last time with the townhomes, rental properties and such. It creates confusion for me anyway. And then the other part of the packet, we've heard this over and over again, proposed sustainability features. That's fine, but none of that mitigates the structural and safety risks of the property. A lot of it has to do with energy and permeability, but we're concerned about that ridge and the safety of it for our home, which is below the ridge, for the Murray Hills home, which is below the ridge. So I recommend that the city only consider assigning zoning to the property in conjunction with, I recommend that the city should only consider assigning zoning to this property in conjunction with an approved site plan. Isn't this what we always do? But, and also by a developer that the city trusts. There's been a lot of switching of plans for this property and what is going to happen with this property. But the Sunset property is a unique parcel, and I think we all know that, and it deserves an equally thoughtful and appropriate zoning classification that matches the county zoning of MR5 of the neighborhood on the ridge that it shares. Under the current framework, SFR zoning is the most appropriate and defensible option. However, this property cannot realistically support 7 units and certainly not 9 units per acre, as substantial portions must be dedicated to access, to easements, roadways, stormwater management. There's not going to be much left on that property to build something. And we need to make sure that happens. We need to make sure that the development will receive responsible and rigorous site plan oversight. How can we guarantee that? It sounds like there's not going to be as much site plan oversight. That's my concern also. And this property exemplifies that why the change to the medium density designation to include SFR, it's a perfect example of why that's needed in this city. And I respectfully request you deny the SFTF 14 zoning.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
You're going to fill out the
I'm not
10.
quite as articulate as my wife, but I'll try. What a shame the property can't be zoned to match the surrounding neighborhood. The adjacent county properties are zone MD5, which means 5 houses per acre. We request the property be zoned SFR, which is the lowest available density in Lake Worth. This, however, is still potentially too dense for the neighborhood, which consists of 1/4 to 1/3 acre lot sizes. My wife Ruthie and I live on an acre, okay, to give you an idea of some of the sizes of lots. If you have visited the Sunset property, you realize the traffic is a major concern. There's only a small space for entrance and egress. Please do the right thing. maintain the life and integrity of a single family neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Up next. Up next would be Katie McGivern. Katie, are you here? No, she's not. Okay. Oh, no. No, not Katie. Thank you. Amy Mihalik is on Zoom, Madam Clerk.
Yes, I'm promoting her to a panelist now, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. They do.
She's coming up now.
Sure. We're just gonna be listening for a while.
Did you call my name? Sorry, I didn't hear.
Yes, Ms. Mihalik.
Yes, hi. It was
Okay.
rejoining, so I didn't hear
Hi, can we
anything.
see you, Miss McKellar?
Yep, it's loading.
There you go. Oh, there you go.
I have my work background on.
That's okay.
Let me swear you in. Do you swear or affirm that in this proceeding you will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If so, say yes.
Yes.
And as you testify, please state your name and address for the record, please.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Amy Mihalik. I live at 2032 Collier Avenue. So I live directly across from the Sunset property, and I'm speaking tonight as an individual resident and as affected party. I want to begin by thanking you for the direction that you're moving in. Recommending single-family residential zoning for this property reflects thoughtful planning, responsiveness to community input, and consistency with the city's longstanding approach to this site. This case has never really been about a single site plan. Over the years, residents have responded to multiple proposals, townhomes, duplexes, single-family homes, and now seemingly single-family homes with accessory dwelling units, but the underlying issues remain the same. Zoning decisions endure long after site plans change. So what matters most is setting zoning that fits the place, not just the proposal of the moment. Single-family residential zoning does exactly that. It aligns with the physical reality of this site, the surrounding single-family neighborhood, and the capacity of the streets and the infrastructure that serve it. I also want to underscore an important point for the record. This property currently has no city zoning designation, so that means applying single-family zoning is an upgrade, not a reduction of rights. It grants clear, usable development rights that do not exist today, while ensuring those rights are appropriate to the site's context and constraints. So the question before you is not whether this property can be developed. It can. The question is how to do so responsibly and predictably. I live directly across from the property. This is a neighborhood where children play in the streets and ride bikes and walk between neighbors' homes. And that sense of safety exists because traffic is limited. And I hope to have children one day. And when I imagine raising a family here, I imagine a neighborhood where kids can safely play outside without constant concern about increased traffic volumes or cut-through driving. Development intensity directly affects how safe a neighborhood feels, especially for families. There's also environmental realities that affect my home and others nearby. The ridge and the mature trees along the perimeter and the entrance road provide stormwater management, slope stability, and buffering. They are functional systems, not decorative features. Preserving them protects not only the environment, but nearby homes and infrastructure as well. This site has come before the commission multiple times, and higher intensity zoning has been denied multiple times, not as a rejection of development, but as a recognition that this location requires care and proportionality. For over 20 years, the residents have shown up, participated constructively, and advocated for thoughtful planning around the ridge. Recommending single-family zoning honors that sustained civic engagement and reinforces trust in the planning process. Finally, I would like to make a constructive request as we move forward. If single-family residential zoning is recommended, I respectfully ask that it include clear expectations around the environmental preservation, specifically preservation of the mature trees along the perimeter and the entrance road, and that any future access road be designed to go around the mature oak tree that's there, not through it. I know there's been talk about like moving trees and stuff, but it can go around. So these protections are consistent with good planning, environmental stewardship, and the city's stated values. Tonight, you're really setting the long-term framework. By recommending single-family residential zoning with appropriate protections, you are choosing compatibility, safety, and continuity. So thank you for your time and your service and your care in stewarding the future of Lake Worth Beach.
Thank you very much. Yeah, she's good. Rebecca Owens. Rebecca Owens calling twice. Karen Risch. Karen Risch. Daniela Santamarina.
It's like Price is Right.
Really? We heard that Yahoo.
Yeah.
Name and address, please.
Sure. Daniela Santamarina, 2107 Collier Avenue. This is Ignacio Martinez. He's also an affected party, but wasn't on your roll call list.
You listed as a separate affected party?
I was also an affected.
You live at the same address?
Yes.
Okay.
Good evening. My name is Ignacio Martinez. This is my fiance, Daniela Santamarina. We live at 2107 Collier Avenue. We purchased our house about 2 years ago. Before we found our home, we had a difficult time finding a decent single family home in a nice area. On every house that we put an offer on, we kept getting outbid. So after years of searching, we finally had enough money saved to put a down payment or to put an offer on the house that we live in the beautiful neighborhood of Lake Osborne. We loved the area because it was quiet and it was surrounded by single family homes. We could have bought in a multi-family community elsewhere, but that's not where we envisioned starting a family. The last thing that we would want is to wake up every morning staring into a multi-family community. That is a complete violation of our privacy. As I said before, this is a single family neighborhood. Adding multi-family homes into our neighborhood would decrease the value of our homes. This would also add potentially dangerous traffic due to the one-way in and one-way out, and could also cause accidents during rush hour or school pickup down the road. I hope you take our perspectives into consideration, as the main reason why we bought the house was to live in a single family community. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Up next is Rebecca Steers. Rebecca Steers. Okay. And thumb. Up, is Rebecca here? Okay. Sorry, no problem. Hi.
The floor.
There's a party out there.
They're collecting gifts as they go out or something.
Really? The $5?
Good evening. I'm Rebecca Steers. I live at 2012 Collier Ave. I'm not going to pretend that I'm going to be any more knowledgeable than any of my neighbors or speak any more eloquently than they already have. But I am here in order to state that, when I bought my home, which, similar to my neighbors who just spoke, honestly, the only reason why I could buy a home in this neighborhood was because I have a veteran's loan as a veteran of the armed services.
Thank you.
And so being able to have a single family home to settle after serving my country and have a neighborhood that celebrates families, celebrates having children, celebrates having the elder care in the area. Like I enjoy being able to see a full range, but do so in such a way that also respects the old Florida living that I came to love and enjoy, and having those single family homes and having the trees and the ecological aspect of it as well. And I do have a lot of concerns regarding having multifamily homes and the traffic that it would cause. I mean, I'm up at Oh Dark Stupid, as we say in the military, but my street can already be full of cars. And if so, there's a lot of additional homes that could create more difficulty in passing. And I am considered essential personnel in certain areas since I am a veterinarian and I do serve in certain emergency capacities and foodborne illness capacities. So like to be able to also easily leave and come back to my home at strange hours like Oh Dark Stupid would also be affected by increased traffic and things like that. So, you know, that's why I kind of came here as an affected party. And once again, I thank you for your time.
We appreciate your input. You're a vet. You can't get more better than that. Vet squared. Okay, up next is Aaron Thumb. Aaron Thumb. Calling once. Aaron Thumb. I hear no cheering in the hallway. No. I mean, my hands are always cold. William Yates. Yeah, William Yates. Mr. Yates, come on up. And the last up is John and Heidi Wright and Bruce Schroeder. Are they here? You might be it.
Mayor, I need to be sworn in.
Oh, please, thank you. Do you solemnly swear to tell the whole truth?
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you. My name is Bill Yates. I reside at 3120 Cynthia Lane, which is in Murray Hills. I became or received affected party status because that wall we've heard a lot about is 6 feet 4 inches from my apartment. So safety concerns are primary with me, and not just due to the wall, but also with Sunset Drive, with that neighborhood. I believe the SFR designation is appropriate. It's consistent with the Sunset Drive neighborhood of single-family homes. It does mitigate safety risks by reducing traffic on narrow streets. It reduces the risk of property damage to Murray Hills, and it's consistent with Mr. Rowley's latest proposal for 4 single-family homes. So I recommend that you consider approving SFR for zoning for that lot. I want to raise, and I feel I have to, I'm reluctant to do it, but raise an issue regarding that October 15th Planning and Zoning Board meeting, because I believe that we were denied due process. And I say that because after the meeting started, those of us that had affected party status were told, you don't have 10 minutes to present evidence, you have 5. And then later we were told during the course of the meeting that the decision had already been made. Therefore, the board would not go back and even consider the recommendations that we were making. So the evidence was never really considered. And that's a concern that I raised that I hope is also a concern to everyone here. I appreciate you giving me the time to speak with you, and I thank you for your service.
And we thank you for being, everyone in this room has chosen to live in Lake Worth Beach. Smart folks, right? We're not perfect, but we're darn good. Okay. That I believe, no, I think we have one more. John and Heidi. John and Heidi, right? Everyone, sure. Calling again for them? No? Okay.
All right.
Does anybody have any questions for any of the parties at this point? Okay.
Thank you, Mayor. So Glenn, I had a couple questions for you. Specifically, if the owner had chosen to apply for interested party or affected party status, could they have gotten that?
I believe so.
And they were afforded that opportunity?
Yeah, everyone was.
Okay. In terms of our decision-making process here, the financials of a potential sale or resale of this property are not relevant. Is that correct?
Not very.
Okay. And then to the last speaker's point, they had some concerns about due process at a planning and zoning meeting. Is there some sort of an appeal process or appeal deadline for a decision from the planning and zoning department? And if so, has that deadline passed?
Well, again, that meeting was October 15th, and a recommendation came forward to you. I believe what the gentleman was referring to, because I was at that meeting as well, was that at that point in time, the city's comprehensive plan had not yet been modified, and that board had recommended to you all a different comprehensive plan amendment than you ultimately decided on. So I think that's might have been what he was referring to, but everyone did have a chance. He had a chance to speak. I don't believe the board had their mind made up. One particular board member spoke strongly in favor of, advancing it to this board, but the whole board had debate and discussion about it. So,
all right, thank you.
And the appeal process is 30 days. from the
yes.
time
But I believe with the planning and zoning board, it's only a recommendation. You can only appeal a final decision. And so since that final decision is going to be sitting with you tonight and possibly 2 weeks from now, and at which time any affected party, I think within 10 days, can give us notice they want to appeal the decision. Also, the assertion that the time limit at the discretion of the planning and zoning board chairman, because the number of people speaking, they reduced the number of minutes down to, I think it was 3 or 5. And that is up to their purview under their bylaws that they can do that.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, we have quite a few public comment cards. And I just, when a motion is made.
I just have a question.
Sure.
So there are often times where we can make conditional approvals. Is this a moment where we can do a conditional approval for zoning?
There's not any conditional approval. There are conditions of approval in the staff report suggesting once a site plan is filed under whatever zoning you propose, that you would recommend that all those conditions be taken into consideration, as well as other ones, because without a specific site plan, which would go through our site review team process to evaluate, there also would be possibly a developers meeting required. I'm not quite sure, since we don't have one. Those conditions on a future site plan would be appropriate.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And just before, when a motion is made, you actually have to do it like you, and usually there's a little script for the boards. You have to state what the substantial competent evidence is that you're finding that you're making that motion. Okay, because I have a couple suggestions for that if you have. Okay, great. So now we have a few, if you still want to speak, I'm going to call your name. If you still want to speak, come up. If you want to waive your right to speak, you're welcome to do that. But starting up with Chad Rulander. Chad? Jill Carlin. Yeah, turn it on. There you go.
Sorry. Jill Carlin, 2381 Sunset Avenue, number 205. So
could you speak up just a little bit? It's hard to hear.
I'm sorry. So I met with you, Mayor Resch and Chris Rayleigh in April. And at that time, we were shown a site plan. The site plan had 16 homes, period, on the site plan. I was not even in favor of 16 homes. I thought it was too much. And that was considered a compromise at that time. We left the meeting. You remember, Mayor Resch. I was asked to leave the room and you met further with Mr. Rayleigh. I left the room and you carried on meeting with him. At that time, I was told that it would not be any more than 16 homes on that property. That is what I came back to as president of the neighborhood association and told my neighbors. As Dr. Lynch and Ruth Lynch said today, SFR is too much for that property. Even that is too much for that property. 16 homes was a compromise. The whole thing was shocking to see the higher density with more homes proposed than townhouses and not honoring what we were shown. This is true. I find this all very disturbing. I was away when the planning and zoning meeting happened, and I was told by my neighbors that instead of 10 minutes, they were given only 3 minutes to speak. Like the man from Murray Hill said, perhaps that is a violation of process. Mr. Waters says no, but neighbors felt that way. They felt violated. They felt like they didn't have the
Thank
opportunity.
you, that's time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
I
very much.
appreciate your service.
Thank you. Kathy Musgrave, followed by Bill Musgrave. There you are. Okay. Thank you very much. Waved. And does Mr. Musgrave agree with that decision? It's not a fool. Not at all. I love it. I love our city. Jane Shoemaker, followed by Catherine Cargill. Nobody has a town like this. Yeah, that's really great.
Jane Shoemaker, 3402 Cynthia Lane, Lake Worth Beach. I respect and appreciate all the previous speakers. By the way, I'm one of the residents of the elder care part of it. I was going to jog up here, but I decided not to. I want to thank the commissioners for listening to all of our residential concerns. For the sake of the community preservation, we strongly urge the city to confine the Sunset property development to as minimal development as possible. We support reasonable development, but we do not support zoning that opens the door to high-density housing on this sensitive site. Promote development that is compatible with the surrounding communities. Promote SFR zoning for the 826 Sunset property. Thank you for listening to us.
Thank you. Catherine Cargill, followed by George R. Adams.
Been sitting here so long, my knee's giving out. Catherine Cargill, 3320 Lake Osborne Drive in Lake Worth Beach. I've been living here for 10 years. I've come to all of these meetings. People much more eloquent than me have spoken all the points. My big thing is cars. Cars, cars, cars. I don't see any house around here that only has one car. And the street that is perpendicular to Sunset doesn't have sidewalks. What's going to happen when people start parking all over their front yards? Turn that street into a one-way? And it's dangerous for the kids that live around here. We're already having a problem with parking. So please protect us and thank you for your service.
Thank you very much. Followed by George Adams, who's oh my, we'll get to the.
Let's get this over with. Let's get going. George Adams, 3320 Lake Osborne. Highlights of what I was going to say. Google says that the LWB overarching comprehensive plan emphasizes balanced growth, economic prosperity, quality of life, and community identity. I believe SFR is really aligned with that, what is in the plan. I know that may be in disagreement with some of the people here, but that's what I think. As well, I think you've heard through all of our discussion here that there is legitimate public purpose that's not arbitrary, discriminatory, or unreasonable for going with SFR zoning. I wish it could be less, but that's what is being provided to us. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. And he's brief. Joanne Gillies, followed by Mary
Thalacker.
Thalacker. Okay. She waves. Okay. Thank you.
Do I have to press the button?
Yeah.
No, you're okay. It's on.
You're up. You said.
Joanne Gillis, 719 Sunset Drive since 1975. Please say no to the single family, 2-family 14 for the 826 property. The residents want single family 7. We'd love single family 4. Not all neighborhoods need to be densely populated. The requested zoning will quadruple the density of a 65-year-old neighborhood. You've all heard the concerns, traffic and noise increase, only one entrance and exit, possible damage to a weight-bearing retaining wall. The traffic alone will impact the single-family residents on Sunset and Collier 100%. Put an end to the 20-year saga and give the residents the quality of life they chose when they purchased their property. Don't let greed of developers sway your vote. Listen to your constituents. Do the right thing by voting no to single family and two-family 14. The residents request single family 4.
You ain't gonna get it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bill Yates? That's you. You already, no, you're all fine. Okay. That really, Roland Renfro. Followed by Joe Egley. Followed by John Lang.
But I'm going to give you what I've researched.
Okay.
Appreciate you.
This shows some of the drainage, also shows the height of the wall and the, to our
Thank you.
buildings.
Thank you.
What I would like to say is,
Can you please speak into the mic, sir?
Sir, you need to go to the microphone and just state your name and address.
Roland Renfro, 3280 Lake Osborne Drive. I happen to be the president of Murray Hills. I researched all what the pictures I gave you. I was going to talk, but I'm going to say that I think SSR or SFR 4 is good. 7 is your lot lines are not going to be big enough. You're going to have houses on top of one another. No place for kids or anything to play. You need to figure that out. 43,000 acres are feet in an acre, square feet. You start dividing that out. When you get down to having, like back home where I'm at, our lots are 80 by 160. We're looking at 40 by 100. So that does not give a lot of room for anybody to play around or anything. Your houses, when you're on a 40-foot, you're going to have a narrow house that has to go long.
I'm on 25.
Well, anyway, that's my comment.
Thank you, sir. And thank you for coming. Mr. Egley, followed by John Lang. Yes, he's coming tonight as a special appearance. I have weight. I have weight. I have gravity test.
Hey, JB. Commissioners.
Hello,
Madam
Mr.
Mayor,
Just a former commissioner, Joe Egley. Thank you for your service.
and thank you for caring. Listening to the developer, with all due respect, anytime a developer wants to come in, regardless of what he says, he'll go for the highest and best use of the property. So my thought is to pay close attention to what happens at the future meetings. I would like to ask the commissioners to require the developer to post a $20 million surety bond. Simply because when the bulldozers come in and the ground starts to shake, it's not just a 57-year-old wall. There's 5 buildings that are adjacent to the property line. And it adds up to 127 apartments that can be affected, tremendously and less. But our maintenance facility is 24 feet from the property line. Our pool area is 86 feet from the property line. So the situation we're faced with is if things start to fall apart, and the buildings themselves are as old as the wall, given that. So it's a situation where, we don't have to go to court and all this other stuff.
post a bond. If we have damage, pay it. And in addition to that, we've got, I lost my train of thought. You get 80 years old.
It
and
happens.
stuff.
It happens.
Well, I'll let it set at that further. Then I'll go to further meetings. We're going to have further meetings on the second readings and things of that nature. Is that correct?
There's a second reading.
Yeah.
There's a second reading. This is the first reading.
Okay, I'll reserve my other speech for then.
Write it down when you think of it. That's what I do.
Oh, I can continue at this point. It came to me.
Good.
Well, you still have time.
Murray Hills is a unique community. Our roads are private. We have fire protection, fire and rescue from the Lantana Airport. We have Sheriff's District 14 covering us. And I feel we're in a position where if we have any damage, our residents may consider de-annexation from the city of Lake Worth.
Thank you. That's time.
Thank you, Mr. Egley.
I'll catch you the next meeting.
I'm sure you will. We work together. Mr. Lang. Name and address?
John Lang, 826 Sunset. I also live on College Park and I have my business here. I have 200 employees in Lake Worth. I was born in Lake Worth and 64 years ago on A Street. And I would
at the hospital.
Yes, Lake Worth General Hospital. I'm fourth generation Lake Worth. I bought this property from Ray Smith, who was a city engineer for years. My father-in-law was a city attorney for years. My partner lives in Atlantis. We bought this property with the intent of developing it. We came to you and got approval and got a full site plan approval and everything. And for whatever reason, I'm not going to point any fingers, but never got sent to DCA, and your mistake has come back to bite me hard. But I want to give these people some peace back. Look at them. They'd rather be home having dinner, watching TV. I think we all know where this is going. I just want to say a couple of things. One, the Bert Harris claim is still in effect. It's told by your direction. You asked us, by the way, you invited us to the city. We were in the county and begged me to come. You love Lake Worth, please. We want to put this in a postage stamp in the city. John, you're from Lake Worth, do this. This won't hurt you a bit. That was 21 years ago. I used my son's college fund to buy this property. My son is 45 years old now. These people have been here 20 years, some of them. I don't know you, but a long time. This isn't their fault. It's not my fault. So it's nice that this is coming to an end. It's costing me a lot of money. I promise you that. The Bert Harris thing is still in effect. It's told, you guys asked us to toll it so we would find a solution in mediation. Well, that was 16 years ago. We've brought 4 buyers to you. We've brought 5 solutions. We've offered to sell it to you as a park and hold the note. You denied all of that. You offered us property and we said no to it. We probably should have. Had I known now, I would have lived in that house for 21 years and loved it.
It's a great
I have a
house.
landscape business. I would have loved it. It was a nursery. It was zoned agriculture. I have been paying taxes on this land for 21 years, 30 grand a year at MF 20 for a long time, which is what the land use your future land use plan says. So anyway, I'm going on here. I want to give everybody some peace. I'd like to end this. However, I don't want to lose any money. And it's been
Thank you. That's time.
Thank you very much.
It's an affected party.
If you just finish up,
Let me wrap this up. I think there's a lot of lessons in this for all of us. I've been through several commissions. I've been through, I still love Lake Worth, despite how badly this has stuck me in the back. I still live in Lake Worth. I have 200 employees here. I just want you to know that. Let's give everybody some peace. I know where this is going. And the Bert Harris claim is still in effect. So know that. It's been told. It's not expired. It's still there. And secondly, with the traffic, just to let you guys all know, I've paid for 3 traffic studies at 80 units and all of them were passed. So at 80 units. So the traffic is not an issue. Okay, just so you know, from Pinder Troutman. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Lang. Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing at this point. Everyone that is going to be heard from has been heard from.
Madam Mayor, I have
yes.
public comment.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
It's not closed yet.
False alarm.
Reopening the.
The first comment that I have is from Gretchen Firo at 3280 Lake Osborne Drive. Dear Mayor and Commissioners, my name is Gretchen Firo. I live in Murray Hills near the Sunset property. I am not against development there. I am asking for reasonable development at a single family residential level that fits the realities of this location. As you know, the Sunset property sits surrounded by the Murray Hill condominiums on three sides. One must consider that all three of the borders are 8 to 20 feet above the adjacent Murray Hills property. Only the north end of the property has an actual direct connection and access to its closest neighborhood of single-family homes. My biggest concern is safety and emergency access. This property has a single entrance, narrow neighborhood streets, and a high density development will adversely affect a large number of older residents who rely on rapid emergency response. The additional traffic will negatively affect safety, convenience, and quality of life. Higher densities don't add just cars, they add delivery trucks, service vehicles, construction traffic, and pressure points at a single access. If an entrance is blocked during a medical emergency, hurricane evacuation, or fire event, the consequences are very real. SFR zoning simply keeps trip counts, traffic, and congestion at a safer, more manageable level. Zoning runs with the land. Whatever you approve tonight shapes safety on these streets for decades, not just for one project concept. For those reasons, I respectfully ask you adopt single-family residential zoning for the Sunset property. Thank you for your time and your service. The next comment that I have is from Randall Herala at 316 Lake Osborne Drive, number 209. Due to the unique characteristics of the site located at 826 Sunset Drive, including limited access and potential impact on the surrounding properties from various environmental conditions, elevation, drainage, soil stability, traffic, site screening, and others, I encourage the Commission of Lake Worth Beach to adopt a low-density, single-family zoning district for this site. Thank you. The next comment that I have is from Robert Faroa at 3280 Lake Osborne Drive. Mayor and Commissioners, thank you for your time. I live in Murray Hills near the Sunset property. I want to be clear, I am not anti-development. I am asking for well-defined, predictable, single-family residential designation for the zoning on this site. What concerns me most is that zoning runs with the land. Proposals, owners, and concepts may change, but zoning remains. If a more expansive zoning designation is granted, a future developer could legally pursue many more units or different building types than what has been promoted to date. That uncertainty is what creates mistrust and anxiety for nearby residents. SFR zoning removes that uncertainty. It gives the city, neighbors, and the property owners stable expectations about scale, height, traffic, and drainage. This property has a long history. The best way to finally bring closure is to set firm, reasonable, responsible limits in the zoning itself. For those reasons, I respectfully ask you to approve single-family residential zoning for the Sunset property. Thank you for listening. The next comment that I have is from Jay Neuscher at 2960 Lake Osborne Drive, apartment 201. Mayor and Commissioners, thank you for hearing my comments. I live in Murray Hills near the Sunset property. I am not opposed to development there. I am asking for development that fits the surrounding single-family neighborhood, specifically single-family residential zoning. This property sits directly next to long-established neighborhoods and a 55-plus community. The key issues for us are height, privacy, and compatibility. Taller condo-style buildings would literally look down into people's homes and courtyards, changing the character of the area in a permanent way. SFR zoning respects the scale of the neighborhood. It avoids looming buildings, preserves privacy, softens visual impact, and creates a reasonable transition between communities. It's the kind of development people can live alongside without feeling overwhelmed. You have the chance to choose a zoning category that matches the surroundings rather than overpowering them. For these reasons, I respectfully ask you to adopt single-family residential zoning for the Sunset property. Thank you for your service. The next comment that I have is from Olivia Mangassner at 701 Sunset Drive. I would like to express my concern about the proposed zoning changes that would significantly increase housing density in our neighborhood. While I understand the need to plan for growth, I am deeply worried that higher density will lead to substantially more traffic on our local streets. We ask the Commission to help us preserve the character and safety of our neighborhood. There are a lot of young families in their neighborhood, including my own. Our neighborhood was not designed to handle heavy traffic flow. Streets are narrow and lack safe crossings. Increased vehicle volume and speed would make it far more dangerous for children walking, biking, or playing outside. I respectfully urge the Commission to carefully consider the impact on child and pedestrian safety before approving any zoning changes that would significantly increase density. Thoughtful planning, such as maintaining lower density in residential areas, improving traffic calming measures, and ensuring safe pedestrian infrastructure will help keep our neighborhood a safe place where families want to live. Thank you for your attention to this important issue and for your continued commitment to the well-being of our community. The next comment that I have is from Sam Smith at 109 North Palmway. The proposed zoning appears to be a decent compromise, although it is clear that the neighbors don't want any development on the property. The property sits within and is adjacent to both single-family residential and multi-family residential Murray Hills. A designation of SFR and two-family residential is a compromise between the two adjacent uses. While I personally would love to see this land undeveloped and turned into a park of some kind, here in Florida that is a pipe dream, the proposed zoning makes sense. The next comment that I have is from Trip Kochi at 2217 Collier Avenue. In light of the pending single-family residential zoning that was unanimously approved by the City Commission, this item should either be tabled until that is complete, or the subject property proactively assigned SFR max 7 units per acre now. On October 21st, 2025, the City Commission unanimously approved an ordinance amending the future land use by incorporating the single-family residential zoning district into the medium-density residential land use designation. In other words, the staff report before you this evening does not appear to mention that SFTF 14 will not be the lowest density district associated with the MDR of the future land use comprehensive plan. In fact, the only reason that the PZB board moved this item before you this evening was at that time they did not have any other options within the medium density land use designation. That has now changed. Back in 2021, the PZB board recognized the incompatibility of a SF14 zoning with our surrounding neighborhood and resoundingly denied the application. We don't even have 48 homes on Sunset Drive and Collier Avenue combined. Now the applicant is proposing this increased density without even a site plan or taking into consideration the impact to my house and the surrounding quiet neighborhood. We cannot rely on the building permit process to protect the neighborhood once the high density zoning of SF14 is in place. This potential investor could sell the property with the new upzoning of SF14. The neighborhood would then be at the mercy of the next developer who would want the maximum density of 56 units or more. That is the end of that comment. The next comment that I have is from Janae Helenas Hatala. I apologize if I mispronounced your last name. Mayor and Commissioner, thank you for allowing me to speak. I live in Murray Hills near the Sunset property. I am a part-time resident, live here about 6 months here in Lake Worth Beach. My parents came to Lake Worth Beach already in the 1970s, so I am very familiar with the area and enjoy the small town feeling of Lake Worth Beach. I am not opposed to development there. I'm asking for development that fits the surrounding single-family neighborhood, specifically single-family residential zoning. This property sits directly next to a long-established neighborhoods and a 55-plus community. The key issues for us are height, privacy, and compatibility. Taller condo-style buildings would literally look down into people's homes and courtyards, changing the character of the area in a permanent way. SFR zoning respects the scale of the neighborhood. It avoids looming buildings, preserves privacy, softens visual impact, and creates a reasonable transition between communities. It is the kind of development people can live alongside without feeling overwhelmed. You have the chance to choose a zoning category that matches the surroundings rather than overpowering them. For these reasons, I respectfully ask you to adopt single-family residential zoning for the Sunset property. Thank you for your service. And the last comment that I have is from Suzanne Kochi at 822 Sunset Drive. Hello, please vote no. The proposed zoning is too high. I am concerned about the noise and traffic that SFTF 14 would create. There is only one access point in and out of the proposed property. That is the last comment that I have, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much. And I'm at this point now, I'm going to close public comment. I have a question for the attorney. It talks next down on my little script here, number 23 on my script. The mayor asked for a motion, which I will do in just a second, but it says a motion to approve with conditions, or a motion to deny. The request is for SF 14. Do we have to deny that request before we can make an alternative, or can we just skip that and go to a different motion?
You can go straight to the motion. As William lined out, you have 4 options. You can make a motion on any of those 4 options.
Okay, great. Thank you. I just wanted, because I didn't think we had to do that, but I wanted to.
Madam Mayor, you just said that we could approve with conditions when I asked that
All
question.
right, that's part of it.
That's more of a generic script. So
Yeah, there's no conditions on it. That's that zoning. There's no conditions. You did try, and we respect you for that. Okay. Now, in order so I have more. Does the city staff have any questions for the applicant or affected parties?
No, we don't, but I do want to, I'm not stepping on the attorney's toe, but we will have to, if you choose to go with a zoning district other than the SFTF 14, we do need to change the title of the ordinance that will reflect the motion that's being made and re-advertise it for the second reading, which is not advertised per se for the second reading, but it would have a different title.
But we can do that.
Yes.
And when would we do that? At this point in time, or?
Well, you would need to do it at this time, and then you could schedule the second reading on January 20th, and we should be able to change the title and have at least prepared and ready 10 days in advance.
So do we need a motion first to change the title? Or do we wait till after the motion?
That would be, I think, based on the motion that you make.
Right.
That would be reflective in the motion, that the title reflect what your motion is.
Okay, so whoever makes the motion needs to remember that. Ms. Malega. Mr.
I'll help you.
Thank you. Mr. McCoy?
I guess this is a question for the attorney.
Well, no, hold on. We're not doing that yet. Hold on. I'm following my script. I'm the mayor. I get the script. I get the script.
I'll leave that.
Does the city staff have any questions for the applicant? That was okay. Does the applicant have any questions for city staff or affected parties?
Question I have is, if you change it for the second reading, you change the ordinance, then that is done at this time. So that is the advertisement for the next meeting.
We have to advertise it. It's a separate requirement that all ordinances, unless they are including a permitted use table issues, are formally advertised on their second reading.
Okay. But that's not.
The notice to everybody that goes in the whole world would not have to be redone.
No, yeah, you guys are doing that.
Yes. You're going to get billed for it, but we do it for you.
Do you have any more questions? Do the commission members have any questions for any of the parties? Now you're Mr. Boy.
Thank you. And this question, I think, would be for the attorney. My understanding of the quasi judicial is that we need to make our motion based on competent and substantial evidence. Do you feel that we have heard from staff and residents sufficient things to constitute, in your legal opinion, competent and substantial evidence to support SFR, which is different than what was
You
proposed?
can't make that determination. We have to make that determination.
That is your determination, but you obviously have heard 2 hours of a
2 hours.
lot of testimony, a lot of evidence, that was competent and substantial, that probably would support whichever you chose to do.
Thank you. Okay. It's our job, right? That's our job.
I
Okay.
just want to make sure. who
Does
makes
city
that
staff have any closing arguments?
No, thank you.
No. Does the applicant have any closing arguments?
The paper, good.
Really? That clock is ticking. Do the affected parties have any closing arguments? I think we've heard your okay. Okay, so now the public hearing is concluded. Now I'm going to ask for a motion. And just to remind us, it has to be a public purpose, substantial competent. You have to say why you think this would be the more.
I would like to hear from all my other colleagues before I make such motion.
Okay,
Have
okay, we can
conversation.
discuss.
Yeah, discuss
Yeah,
five minutes
discuss
of
this amongst
conversation.
yourselves. And, okay, Mr. Segrich.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Although we can't discuss until we have a motion.
Sometimes we do, sometimes we
If
don't.
I might, and maybe my script is different from yours. Under deliberations, 22 states, after the questioning ends, the mayor closes the
And
public
ask to
hearing
discuss.
and asks the commission to discuss the
Who wrote
request.
this script?
23, then the mayor then asks for a motion.
So we
Right.
can discuss first.
Okay, fine.
Thank you.
I'm just trying to
Let's-
make sure we don't trip up on the script that we were
We
provided by
would
the
not
city
do that
clerks.
because yes, that's what we're going to talk about it now. Okay, Mr. Segrich.
So after listening to all the testimony and looking at the evidence before us, there were 3 things that stood out to me as compelling as to why we might make a decision for SFR 7 versus SFTF 14.
Thank you.
The first for me is that there's a single point of ingress and egress from the property, which directly goes through a single family neighborhood, which currently is a mixture of our SF7 and county SF4 or 5, as well as there's a giant wall which separates Murray Hills from this property. At least for me, I think it would be different if there was an ingress and egress into the Murray Hills neighborhood that would basically make that MF30 kind of part of that parcel, and look at that. So for me, this parcel is solely tied to a single family neighborhood and is clearly separated from the multifamily aspect. And so to me, that's a compelling reason why you would move towards the SF7. Secondly, from the evidence that's been presented by the applicant, the choice of SF7 versus SFTF14 would be no more injurious than going the other way. However, going for SFTF14 would increase traffic. The nature of the neighborhood would be changed and be more of a rental focus. And I believe that would be injurious to the residents in the single family neighborhood, greater so than if we choose the SFR 7. And then lastly, and this kind of goes into the compatibility, the land use pattern and consistency points of how we evaluate this. Previous county zoning and use of agricultural, single family, and its existing current use as single family. Since we have the choice of SFR 7, jumping to SFTF 14 to me would be a major leap in density. Had we not had the choice of SFR 7, SFTF 14 would make sense as the best possible choice. But here, I think it's a leap too far. And so given those three things, I believe that SFR 7 is a much, much better choice and the clear choice in terms of land use pattern, compatibility, consistency, and a direct benefit to community sustainability. So items B, E, A, and F would greatly benefit from an SFR 7 rather than an SFTF 14, in my opinion.
Thank you. Ms. Malega.
Oh, I'll let Ms. May go first.
Okay, sure.
I mean, I'd like to just say ditto, but I just, I do agree that it should be the SFR because of the large lot size of the single family properties to the north. The access is only through the Sunset Ave. The wall really does isolate the property from Murray Hills, the SF 30, and the size of the lot being greater than 5,000 square feet. With the utilities, with the ingress and egress, it wouldn't even hold more than the 28 units unless you put 2 units on, and I don't believe we want it. I don't believe that the opening it up for rental community is in the interest of the neighborhoods or has not been mentioned by any of the affected parties as an alternate to the zoning. So with that, I would agree with SFR 7.
Thank you. Yeah, and I'm just going to go with, we're pretty much all saying the same thing. The public, in terms of public purpose, it's one road in and out. It's more compatible, as everyone is pointing out, with the single family area on that side rather than the Murray Hills down. So I would concur with that. Mr. McBoy, we're going to all say the same thing. And that's it. We're all going to
trees.
Don't talk about trees. Mr. McBoy.
I too find a legitimate public purpose in going with the SFR 7 for primarily the same reasons mentioned by Commissioner Segrich. As far as I can see, we have competent and substantial evidence that there would be more injury from moving to the SF 14 than there would sticking with the SFR 7. So I support that also.
Thank you. Ms. Malega, would you
So-
like to make a motion?
I would, but just real quick, I was listening to what everybody said, and SFR does not take away the possibility that these units could be rentals.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I just want, even though it's single family resident, that doesn't mean a single family person is going to move into whatever is proposed.
Of course.
Okay, well, I'm just for the record.
Helpful.
But I agree with all of you. Substantial, sustainable, the impact to the community that it's surrounding, it is surrounded by single family homes. And I think that it was Mr. Segrich who mentioned having an egress through Murray Hills. They don't want that. That's not compatible for their lifestyle and that's intrusive. So I think for the traffic impact based on the evidence, the testimony, the concerns we've heard for traffic impact, life safety issues, that's huge for me. Life safety is what people want when they buy a home. They want quality of life and life safety. And I think that SFR is more in line with that. The environmental aspects of the trees, and that was an agricultural farm at one point. It is a single family resident, not lived in home right now.
It's a beautiful house.
And
4 million.
to me, it only makes sense to do SFR on this property, which is compatible with the surrounding community, but also compatible with our comp plan. So I agree with everyone. I'm sad that we can't make conditional approvals on this. I will say that up and I'm dismayed that we may not see this come before us. So I'm going to be paying attention to the planning and zoning meetings and what does come before planning and zoning in the future, because I think that's important. If we're whatever zoning we're going to, agree on right now, that if we don't get to see it, that we at least are there to see what's happening with this property, because it has been a thorn in my side since the day I was elected. So that's all I'm going to say. With that, I would like to make a motion based on the evidence and what the testimony we've heard today, to approve SFR zoning pursuant to our comp plan for 826 Sunset Drive. Yeah, that's my motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Before you
Aye.
vote, hold on.
Aye.
Before you
What-
vote,
what- what-
what I'm
what-
gonna note is that you were recommending for it to be heard at second reading,
On January 21st.
January 20th. And everywhere in the current ordinance where it mentions single family and two family residential, parentheses, SFTF 14, that will be changed to single family residential, parentheses, SFR.
What he said.
I second that addition.
Thank you. Okay.
That will be,
I wish I had $4 million because I would buy it and we'd have a park.
that will be the day.
Me too.
Three. Do I hear two? Well, ignore me and I don't have the money.
By the record, it was none of
let's
us
vote
that
then.
made.
Okay, so we have a,
you.
we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you very much. Have a wonderful evening.
We need a motion to adjourn, Madam Mayor, to special meeting.
Motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn.
Vice Mayor.
Second.
Second.
Aye.
Thank you. Aye.
Thank you.
It's gonna be 14.